we're going to be talking to Cody Graham, the president of Neon Logistics. Cody, how are you?
I'm doing great, Happy to be here.
Well, we're happy to have you, and I'm really excited to learn more about what you guys do. What is that?
Yeah, so we do logistics, right? And it's something nobody ever thinks about. Best way I like to put it is basically we're kind of like the Travelocity for freight for businesses. So we're kind of a one-stop shop so that companies can move freight from all over the country without having to call a million different trucking companies.
Do you focus on any type of industry, or is it just anyone that needs to get something from point A to point B?
Just absolutely anything, right? Just anything at all. We primarily do full truckload in the U.S.
That's awesome. Is this something that you've been doing for a while, or did this just kind of come about suddenly?
Yeah. So I've been doing it, I think, almost 10 years now. So first job out of college, I went and worked for a larger logistics firm, and then, kind of on the sales side, and took a liking to it and stayed there for about 5 years, and then decided to start Neon back in 2017.
That's awesome. You were like, I've been doing this so long, might as well do it for myself. Or what sparked that?
Yeah, definitely kind of that deal. I mean, to be honest, I was a bad employee. I was young, I was brash, I only cared about my customers, and that was it. I was pretty negative, and so I wasn't a follower, and I really wanted to control my own destiny. So I decided I'm going to create a non-corporate company that wouldn't slow people down with red tape and reward people based on hard work.
And you say like Neon Logistics. How did that name come about?
Yeah, it's kind of a weird name, right? So I knew I wanted a different name, but I couldn't come up with like a word that didn't exist, like a lot of people do anymore. And I wanted it to be 2 syllables, but honestly, it's kind of weird. I'm from the Midwest, small town in Missouri, and I used to race cars, dirt circle track cars, and so doing that. We tried to obtain sponsors. And in order to obtain sponsors, it was best if your car stood out. And the only way to make your car stand out was to get a really cool wrap on the car. And basically, we would put neon overlays on the wrap of the car. And so kind of were known for that. And I was just sitting there brainstorming names of the company with my dad. And he's like, what about neon? I was like, that works. I like that word. It's fun to say. So it stuck.
That's awesome. And I mean, sounds like you really put some thought into figuring out what you wanted to do, how you wanted to do it. And my next question is, since you're like all across everywhere, where are you based? Like, how do you operate?
Yeah, so I mean, we're all in Scottsdale, Arizona. We don't do anything remote currently. All of our employees are here in the office, and so we just operate here. But then some of our customers are in Texas, California, Florida, South Carolina, all the way to New York, all over. So a lot of everything's done over the phone, and then we go and visit the customers, of course, pre-COVID and now soon post-COVID.
So did you pick Scottsdale out of convenience, or was it because, it made sense for other reasons?
So I live down here, right? So, it's a great area between ASU, U of A. I like Phoenix. It's hot. I like it that it's hot. I just came out here to go to ASU and then stayed because I just think it's the best place ever. And now it seems like a lot of people do.
Yeah, I mean, there's every day people are moving down here.
And right.
Has that been helpful to your business? Has you seen people kind of moving in and flooding more into Arizona?
Yeah, absolutely, especially kind of when COVID kicked off. A bunch of people from all over. We had a guy come from Canada, somebody from southern Missouri, Iowa, Ohio, and it was really cool because they wanted to get out of where they were because they knew that it was going to be shut down for a long time in Arizona, so relaxed. So yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, the whole migration of everyone bringing stuff this way definitely had to have changed the game for the transportation and, delivery industry.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Phoenix is a really hot market right now, so it's quite a deal. It's unreal what we're experiencing.
And I mean, with all the logistics and everything that goes into it, I'd imagine that you probably have a pretty, large team, or at least team of people that can do a lot of things.
Yeah. So we're up to 48 people now. So it's crazy in 4 years. So we were at about 20 to 22 last year. So grown a lot in the last couple of years to be where we're at now. It takes a lot of bodies, more than you would think, to move everything all over, even with this technology that we have at our fingertips.
Yeah. So what is it? What is it like? What goes into building your team, identifying people to be a part of your team? Like, what does that process look like?
Yeah. So right now, we primarily hire people with no experience at all that are fresh college graduates. And we do that for multiple reasons, mainly so everybody has the same base knowledge and it allows us to control the culture and the ultimate experience to the customer. So that's kind of where we are now. We focus on business majors. And so everybody's kind of young and it's quite an energy and vibe because of that.
So what is the culture that you're going for?
Oh, so that young, energetic, fun culture. So being in logistics and transportation, we spend a lot of time on the phone, and so just naturally, people that are younger are a little bit more drawn to it. And so our culture is everything. It's absolutely crazy in the last couple of years how we've been able to form our culture and how it's changed, and it's just been unreal to see. A good example of it is we had a new hire barbecue last Friday, right? And I'm sitting here working on the next Sunday, and we had a bunch of leftovers and stuff in the fridge, and sitting here working at 8:30 in the morning on Sunday, and here 3 team members come through the door, and I was like, "What are you guys doing?" They're like, "Oh, we just wanted to send this quote to a customer, and we're gonna make some of these." Heat up some of these hot dogs and hamburgers before we go to the lake. So our culture goes beyond just working hours. It's really cool.
That's awesome. And I mean, like, you can never let good barbecue go to waste. That's like a rule.
Oh, exactly, right.
Well, I mean, having experienced hyper growth, I mean, going from 20 to 40 in a short period of time, did you ever experience any growing pains? I mean, how did that process work?
Oh yeah, of course. I mean, it's been a deal, right? It's been such a learning experience. We started in 2017, and then in 2018 we got to about 10 employees, and it was pretty fairly lucky. I got lucky up to that point, and then in 2019 we struggled to find find the right people, and so we shifted focus from trying to find people with experience in the industry to, okay, we're going to create our own people, our own environment, train them our way, and that's really what we set up at the beginning into 2019 and the beginning part of 2020 that has allowed us to grow now. So we created a big training program and everything like that, and so it's been easy after we made those adjustments.
Yeah, I mean, making a decision of looking for someone that can blend into what you're doing to someone who can be, brought into this world. Definitely. I mean, that's the whole, you don't want to bring someone in that already has bad habits.
Yep, exactly. Yep, 100%.
So, I mean, speaking of bringing people in, what does the onboarding process look like when you do get a new client or someone that's going to start using your services?
Oh, that's pretty. It's rather simple, more simple than you'd think. We procure a lot of our clients through cold calling. So as soon as we call the customer, establish a little bit of a relationship with them, they usually find out our service by trying us out. So we move our first load with them. We push our technology big in those first couple loads. We get them set up on a customer portal that we have that allows them to have Uber-like tracking, to be able to see all their trucks on a map, which is something that I guess is less common than you'd expect in the industry. And I always tell people, if I can see my $10 burrito coming to me, I want to be able to see my $100,000 truckload of product coming to me. So we really are big on our technology and showing it to our clients, and it's a rather simple process.
So, would you say that the technology is the big differentiator between you and kind of the standard traffic service?
I would say it's one big part, right? Kind of like I've been alluding to, it's not utilized as much as we'd like to see, or as much as people would expect. The industry by and large is really blue collar and really relationship driven still. So I guess the big differentiator we like to say is our people and the values that our people have. We're very honest. We're very transparent with our communication, and that flows through to everything. The drivers, carriers, customers, everything we do, we're completely transparent. And that really allows us to position ourselves in a lot different way than a lot of our competitors.
So, I mean, as you're kind of having those conversations, are people surprised when you speak to what you can do versus what your competitors are doing? I mean, is it considered innovative? What does that conversation look like?
It's really a trust thing to begin with, right? It's an interesting. Some of it, yeah, it's interesting. As far as the technology goes, yeah, usually the experience on the phone with them is great. They're very surprised because a lot of people think that only great big companies can provide that, and us being a smaller company, being able to provide that is a surprise to them, and it is a big differentiator. So we're able to provide that boutique-like service mixed with the great technology that all the bigger companies are able to allot them.
And I definitely like to know kind of what your product roadmap looks like. Is there other things that you're looking to incorporate in, things that you're fine tuning?
Yeah, I mean, we're primarily focused on full truckload for our clients right now. We have an LTL wing that we're developing slowly but surely to be more of a focus. On top of that, we started to look into different warehousing options as it's become much more important with everything going on with final mile and things like that. So there's a couple different things that we're looking into, but right now we're just focusing on growing the truckload wing primarily.
Mm-hmm. And as you're based in Arizona and you're kind of traveling to Texas, or you're traveling to different locations, where's the furthest you guys have gone? Like, what's the longest journey that you've taken
on a load? I think we moved some loads to Alaska before, and some loads to Hawaii, right? So it's still considered the U.S. We moved some containers to Hawaii once. That was pretty crazy. So
like I guess, like, when I picture having the truck and moving, I mean, you can't drive there. How did that? Were you doing transfers? How did you do that?
No, yeah, we had it actually was all put on a rail to LA, and then it was put on a barge over to Hawaii. So and then it was put onto a truck and delivered to the customer. So a little bit of different of a move.
I mean, that's definitely one I would want to track on my phone. Like, okay, now it's in like the water, but it's still
yeah,
good.
That one's a little bit harder to track. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. That's interesting. I mean, has there been any major obstacles or hurdles that you guys had to kind of come together to brainstorm on solutions?
Oh, every day, to be honest with you. We're completely non-asset based, so we're not sending our own drivers out. So it's really hard sometimes to control what independent truckers do on a daily basis. The best way that we control all problems is through communication. That's it. So that's why I like to say we're a communication company. We're constantly following up with the drivers. We've got the apps and everything like that, but we're not completely dependent on technology because that's where kind of things fall through the gaps. Mm-hmm. So every day there's a new problem. It's absolutely crazy.
And I mean, speaking of problems, this past year had to have presented many of them.
Oh, yeah. This last year was absolutely crazy. It was very interesting to see kind of the market completely die at the beginning of the year. And then whenever it first hit, and then all the food and beverage and home goods clients took off, and the construction clients kind of slowed down. And ever since probably, I don't know, May of that year, it's just been kind of on a crazy journey to huge inflation now and a huge carrier shortage to where it's just rates are higher than we've ever seen in the industry.
Was there anything specific that you needed to change in order to, overcome this past year within your business?
So we kind of took a different approach to COVID, to where we kind of, being an essential business, being located in Arizona, we by and large tried to ignore it as much as we possibly could. And so we kept coming into the office. Everybody's kind of younger, didn't have families where they had to take care of people at home, like kids or anything like that. And so We just used it as an opportunity to focus on building out everything, as we felt like everyone else kind of slowed down with the work from home type deal, and kind of use it as a platform for us to grow.
Mm-hmm. And I mean, your clients had to have liked that they could still call you and you'd pick up the phone.
Oh yeah, absolutely. That's was the deal, right? If everybody's working from home, it's a little bit different of a scenario compared to us. And we would tell everybody, "Hey, we're still here. We're going." And they're like, "What?" I'm like, "We're in Arizona. That's just it." Like they're like, "Man, we're jealous of you." And I'm like, "Yep." So some of them thought we were crazy, but everybody survived so far, so it's been good.
Mm-hmm. And I mean, one of the things that you mentioned was that rates were increasing and you're seeing them higher than you've ever been. How are you like predicting what the cost is going to be when someone's saying, I need you to move this from point A to point B?
Yeah, that's been the hardest thing to do this year. And with us, where we've got a lot of people with around a year of experience, it's been even harder because they've just been met with constant problems and swings of things going up and down. It's been crazy. So the best way to do it, I say, is really just to guess, right? It's that's where the transparency comes into play with our customers. So we really just say, hey, we don't know what this is going to be, rather than telling you, hey, it's going to be $2,000, and then waiting 2 hours before it's supposed to pick up and be like, I don't have a $2,000 truck, but I can get it done for $3,000. We're completely transparent up front, and that costs us some business sometimes, but it also gains us some business.
Mm-hmm. I was going to ask, I mean, how receptive is someone when you say, oh, yeah, we can ship this, but we're not sure exactly what it's going to cost? Like, how does that go?
It comes down to the relationship, right? If you've built a relationship and you follow through with what you say you're going to do every single time, then they're going to trust you and do that. With brand new clients, it's a little bit harder, but we love nothing more than being called back a couple days later and saying, yeah, the stuff's still sitting on our dock and we haven't been able to move it. I'd much rather be the guy that is sitting there and honest with somebody rather than failing and losing thousands of dollars.
Yeah, I mean, what I think is interesting is you kind of founding the startup. We're so used to seeing, at least with shipping, from what I've seen, people that are focusing on like that last mile, that last half mile, that last kind of start to finish. It seems like you're focused on the 90% of getting it there.
Yeah. We're a little old school in that realm, but it's just as important, right? So that side of the business is taking off as well. So yeah, that's 100% what we're focused on.
And I mean, as you're kind of presenting this, I'd imagine that you're working towards getting, funding or, ways to be able to kind of scale and grow your business. What does that path look like, and how you're kind of getting people on board with it?
Yeah, that's something that we've done a little bit different. And I don't know necessarily if it's the right answer or wrong or indifferent, but I think it's a big part of who we are at this time. We have completely grown 100% organically with no outside money at all. So, and we've done that primarily because I like who we are. And I always tell everybody, if we take outside money, then somebody in another city looking at a spreadsheet might make decisions about our people's future. And I don't want that. And the people here don't want that. They came here not to be part of a big corporate company. When I look them in the eye and I tell them something, I mean it. And we're all the decision makers. So that's what's great about it.
Yeah, I mean, it's a great choice, but it's a hard choice. I mean, there has to be temptation and, things that go into that.
Yeah, I don't know if it's the right answer, to be honest with you. I really don't. That's the lane we're in right now, and we'll see what happens. I mean, it's working for us so far, and we're going to keep moving forward and just run off our own stuff and continue to grow organically and be in control of the product. So definitely something we might entertain on down the road, as long as we can keep who we are the same, because like you alluded to, the culture, it's just so important to us.
Yeah, and I mean, I've heard that time and time and again of people that have had successful business that they've started, or investors. It's grow as much as you possibly can by yourself. And that's always been that, do everything that you can, get it to the point, because no investor is going to invest in something that's making no money. They'll invest in someone that's scaling and growing. And, when you get to the point where you're ready to get that larger round of funding, if that ever comes up, you have the whole pie of your business.
Yeah, exactly. And that's 100% where we're at. So yeah, if we ever start to flatline at all, then that's definitely something we'll look into.
So, I mean, I'm curious about like as you know transitioned from working in the industry to having a company in the industry. I mean, what was that part of your life like?
Oh, that was a journey, right? It's been absolutely crazy. I was just a sales rep at my previous employer, and I had no management experience at all. And so I really had to work on my leadership skills. And the best way I did that was through failing, right? I wouldn't say it's the best way in any way, shape, or form, but I learned that how I prefer to be managed or coached isn't necessarily the way everyone else would like to be coached. And initially, in the first couple years, I created kind of a culture based on fear and focusing on what's going wrong rather than what's going right. So I actually got an energy leadership coach, and I had to change basically the way I look at everything in life. And it's been absolutely the craziest thing I've done, the coolest thing I've done, and I still have to work on everything I do on a daily basis. But I'm so much happier now, and our culture is so great now, and it really makes me so happy. It's the reason I get up in the morning now. It's because when I started this deal, I wanted to make some money, and now I get out of bed because I have all these brand new, fresh to the industry, fresh to their careers and their lives, people that we're impacting as a team. And I know that's why myself, our director of talent development, Matt Hines, I know that's what gets him up out of the morning, every morning out of bed. Uh, it's just been amazing to basically see the change in our culture and our people, and see all these people succeed.
Were your friends and family shocked when you were like, "I'm going to start a business"?
Oh yeah, definitely. I come from humbler beginnings, so they always pushed me to stay where I was at because I was doing well. So once I did it, though, they were fully supporting me, and it's been great ever since.
Yeah, I mean, it sounds like your dad was supportive, brainstorming names with you.
Oh yeah, oh yeah, definitely, definitely. It's great. Yeah, and now he's got his own car lot now in Missouri, so it's really cool.
That's awesome. I mean, just the
Yeah.
the journey and the story. I'd love to kind of know some advice that you would give to someone who's considering starting a company.
Advice. So the biggest advice I would say would be just put your head down and work. And I know that sounds odd, um, but I would say the one thing that's kind of been different about what I've done compared to other people is I've got a really high level of discipline, and I've really limited my distractions. Like all I do is work. And so that mixed with using advisors. That's something in the last couple of years. I've got a business advisor, an energy coach, a vision advisor. I wish I had done that sooner. And so those two things is what I would advise on.
How did you qualify those people to be like your vision coach? Like, how did you vet those people?
Right. Right. So and sometimes they're pretty expensive. And it's like, geez, this is a deal. Um, uh, well, all of them are different, right? So one, it's all just been based on gut and feel. I got to a certain point to where we had a little bit of money that I could play with, and I just tried it out. And I started with the business advisor, and I saw value in that. And then somebody recommended an energy coach to me, and then I did that, and that was awesome. And so it's just been, I didn't go to Yelp or anything else like that. It's all just been through word of mouth.
you're you're like 3.7 stars. Okay, kind of a
Yeah.
visionary.
Right. Yeah. That was not, it was not traditional how I do most other consumer purchasing.
Yeah, I was just wondering. I'm like, how do you like determine like this is your vision coach, this is your business coach?
Yeah. It's a deal. They kind of outline everything to you beforehand, and once you get to a certain point, it's like, let's do it. It's an investment rather than an expense. It's more viewed as an investment. Yeah.
Well, I would love to let our listeners know where they can learn more about your business. Should they follow you on social media? How do they learn more?
Yeah, absolutely. we're at _logistics, and we're big on LinkedIn, Neon Logistics, and our website's Neon Logistics.
Awesome. Well, I look forward to checking those things out. And like I said before, I love the name. Neon's one of my favorite categories of colors. Forget those pastels, right? Yeah. Well, awesome.
Yeah,
Thank
right.
you
Yeah, we
so
gotta have
much.
bright. We gotta be bold.
I know it's been a blast talking to you, and I cannot wait to learn more about your business. So thank you so much for your time.
Yeah. Thank you. Thank you. See you later.